We have 3 screens built. All that's left to do is to configure the action to pass data between our screens and build the note detail screen. So to give you an idea of what we're doing, on the card feed screen, we have a card for each one of our notes that displays just the title. And so if you remember, we have touchables wrapped around each of these cards. So once you touch one of these cards, you'll be taken to the note detail screen where you'll see both the title and the description. So to get started, let's actually add the note detail screen first. We'll build it later, but just to add it, we'll click screens. We'll click add blank screen. And then we'll click the data tab and we'll go back into our service, our Notesbit service, and we'll create a new endpoint. And I'm just going to name this one single note get and then keep the get request. And so we're going to add that notes path as before, but we're going to continue going and we're going to add another slash, and then we're going to add ID in double brackets. And so you'll see the test value field appear. And so for this test value, you want to go back into your Airtable API documentation. So I'm going to switch over, and then you'll see under the notes table and retrieve a record, it'll provide you with an example response. And so I'm just going to take this ID, as you see right here, I'm going to copy this without the quotes, and I'm going to put it into the test value input right here. It says we're ready to go, so I'll click test, and everything pulled through successfully, so we're all set. So we can save this. We can say we're done. And so now on the card feed, we can go to the layout, and we're going to select this touchable. We're going to go over to the interactions tab. Going to click the plus next to action to select the navigate action. We're going to go to this new blank screen, which we will rename later, and we're also going to pass data. And so I'm just going to pass the ID because that's the value that we tested, and I'm going to select ID from the dropdown as well, and we're all set up. So now we can go to that new blank screen, and this screen is super simple. So all we're going to do here is we're going to add a fetch component at the top. This is necessary if you're passing data between screens because this is where you configure your endpoint. So I'm adding that fetch component, and inside the fetch component, all I'm going to add is a view and 2 text components inside of the view. Awesome. And so now that we have this, I can close the component drawer, and then I'm just going to go ahead and add some padding to this view. So I'm just going to add 32 to the top, 16 left, 16 right, and then 16 on the bottom. And then I'm going to select this first text component, and I'm going to change the font to headline 4. And I'm going to add 16 points of padding to the bottom. And then I'm going to select the second text component, and I'm going to change this font to body 1. And I know it looks strange because you can't see the components on the screen right now, but once we configure the fetch component, it'll all come together. So we'll select the fetch component, and then we'll go over to the data tab, and under service, we'll select Notesbit, and then we have the notes get, but we're going to do the single note get. And then under this configuration tab, you're going to want to select ID, which is the navigation param from this dropdown. If you don't do this, you will run into an error, so make sure you do that. And you'll see the text reappear on the screen, so we can select the top text component. And then from this dropdown, you'll see that we have our title and description coming through, so we'll select note title for this first one. And then for the second one, we will select the note description. And you're all set. So as mentioned before in previous videos, you can't test this out in the builder since navigation won't work. But if you have live preview open on your phone, you should be able to test it out, and you should see the data come through for different cards.